Welcome Lokesh sir, to the new episode of Cybercast. This is a freewheeling cybersecurity chat show through which we aim to secure, aware, and educate people on cybersecurity and its different domains. So, first of all, you hold a very big and immense and a very fascinating background of information security involved in Indian Navy. So can you just give us just a small overview on how defense is, on how the defense organization is working on cybersecurity and how important is cybersecurity when it comes to Indian Navy or any other
Mhm.
military?
See, what I would and first of all, thank you so much, Yash, for inviting me, and I'm really excited to, share my insights and here. So, when we talk about the cybersecurity into armed forces, so it is no, different, but since they work in a very controlled and contained environment, so sometimes things does not come out, or I would say, most of the time things do not come out that what they are basically doing, but when we talk about their insight what they do, so it's similar, right? Their target, their way of working are slightly different from the corporate that what we generally do, but it is, I would say same, but they always work in that very controlled environment. I mean, things generally do not go out.
All right, and
Mm.
you have been working into cybersecurity and it's been more than a decade now, right?
Right, right.
So cybersecurity is still emerging, right? So you must have seen the actual emergence of cyber security, that how security used to be 10 years back from now and how cyber security is right now. So how do you see cyber security from your perspective, in terms of emergence?
So I have seen an era, where I, along with my team, when I was working in armed forces, used to, majorly work on the papers, even for the cyber security also. We used to make policy on the papers, right, for
Okay.
even cyber security. And you can think that on paper you are building the, policies for cyber security. So I have seen that era as well. And now, you know, when I see today's time, Yash, basically, so cyber security is now, I would say, not only for defending the computers and network, now it's only for the human also, and now it has been integrated into their lives also. Whatever you do, whatever devices that you are using, whatever data you poses, you store on your offices and your personal devices, everywhere cyber security has become a necessity, essential thing of your life, right? Because the data that is basically that you are processing is everything, right? So technology, if I see, is creating and touching new dimension every day. You see chat gpt, right, and whatnot, basically ai ml evolutions, right? So and those technologies are basically for us to make our life easy, right? But when we see cyber security, these technology also bringing and opening new door of the risk, also new opening the new door for the cyber hackers also. So cyber security is, I would say in a nutshell, is need of the hour. We cannot escape ourselves. Earlier day it used to be like, I mean, it's security, let's keep on the back seat, but now it has to be on the driver's seat. I mean, you cannot survive without security. It's just like, again, need of the hour for any organization. In fact, every person also who has a presence on the digital soil.
Okay, so that was very
Mm,
fascinating to know.
mm,
So
mm,
I would like to talk about security as in corporate world, since you
mm.
also worked under Indian Navy and then you shifted your domain into corporate world. You are now
Right,
safeguarding Amazon from cyber attacks. So
right, right.
in the in the environment surrounded by the corporate world, how a
Mhm,
fresher should prepare his or her skill set. If I ask you a basic simple question, that if a
mhm,
first year's or a
mhm,
second year college student or just a fresher wants to enter into cyber security, what are the
mhm,
skill sets that they need to
mhm,
inculcate so that they
mhm.
can start their career in cyber security, and what domains are on the rise in cyber security?
Absolutely, absolutely, Yash. So I think I would say cybersecurity is the domain where you need more as a aptitude, and on the second number you require the technical skills. So if you have the right aptitude to do the right thing, then I think cybersecurity you can start by your own. Now obviously you need some technical skill set, your technical knowledge, and if you have that determination and right aptitude to learn those hacking stuff, those cybersecurity, defending the computer, those big words, and those are not fancy, you actually do, right? So one who want to start as a, let's say, as a fresher or the first year student who has some the I would say ambitions to become a cyber security professional, so they can start learning the basics of operating system first, then the fundamental of network, how network basically work. And when he develop, or when that student develop these two skills basically, now after that he can start online, right? And he can start with some basics coding, right? Let's say your Python, your Ruby, your Java, these kind of, because that is also very essential to know, like most of the codes, most of the tools are basically written into these languages. And then you turn into the tools basically which actually used into the cybersecurity, like Linux. You can start with Linux. Learning the Kali Linux is one platform where every fresher should go and start exploring those tools basically, learning about those terminology, like what ethical hacking is, what is the phishing email, what is ransomware, types of malware. And when he or she develop these and basics understanding, then he can pursue some courses, basically some certification which will enhance their knowledge, which will accredit their knowledge as in terms of the making career. And then probably that will be a launch pad for them to join any company as a fresher. And nowadays if you see Ash, uh, most of the company, they hugely rely on these freshers because they are young blood. They have the huge energy basically to to push them, or to extend themselves for longer hours, right? So company also investing in a huge amount of money into them, providing them training which is required to perform the job. So I think yes, operating system, the basics of networking, basic terminologies of ethical hacking and cyber security, and then you are good to go basically. And when I talk about the roadmap, let's say now, hey, now I know the basics of cybersecurity. I understand what hacking is, what phishing is, what is white hat, black hat, and gray hat hacker. I also know the OSI layers, right? Now, what should be the roadmap into cybersecurity? What are the
Yes.
career options for me, right? So that I would say, uh, let's say SOC analyst, right? You can be a safeguarder, you can be an outlook to any organization. You can become an incident responder where you will be fold your sleeves and handle all those incidents, right? You can be a forensic investigator where you will go and unroot the crime which had took place, right? Then you can also become the architect where you will create the architect for safe cyber security, right? Then you can be now the cloud, very emerging, not emerging, I would say it has established. You can also be a cloud architect. And then the risk, the specialist, right, where you will try to bring risk to the manageable level, right? So all these are the roadmap and the subdomain of into the cyber security where one can go and try their luck. And it's not trying their luck, it's the success.
Okay, great, sir. So,
uh,
these are the skill set that you told us, that the skill sets that are needed to be, hands-on for a fresher to land a job in cybersecurity. So,
right.
most of the people, they once they hear a word like ethical hacking or
Mhm.
cybersecurity, they imagine someone in a black hoodie and having a
Right.
green screen and RGB keyboard and hacking some
Mhm.
cool stuffs and all. So if I
Mhm.
ask you, since you are into corporate from a long time and holding a very
Mhm.
good position in different top notch companies,
Mhm.
how are the organization seeing cyber security? Are they seeing the cyber security as challenge, or one of their branches that needs to be protected? And how companies work on cyber security?
challenges in cybersecurity will always be there, right? So there is one saying, right? Thieves are always ahead of law agencies, right? Thieves are always ahead of police, right? So if thieves will not be there, how we will secure them? There is no need to secure anything, right? You will open the door of your house and you will enjoy like anything, right? So if thieves are there, and when every day they are, developing, and they are finding a new technique to enter in a house and then rob that house, right? Same way it's for the ethical hacker, no, sorry, the hackers also, threat actors also. So what, every day they find a new technique, and this technique is basically is used by the technology that we are developing. Now I'll give you a very recent example, and then I think I'll try to correlate with the challenges. Now chat gpt, it was created, it was built for very good purpose for the people right now. uh, People not need to spend hours on the internet to find something. You just tell chat gpt what, and it will give you a lot of options, and that options are nearly perfect, right? Same way it is, hackers are also exploiting the chat gpt. They are saying, give me a malware, give me a exploit code, right? Write a undetected malware code for me, and chat gpt is helping them, right? Now they are using those code to perform hacking, to launch a cyber attack against the organization. Now that has become a challenge, AIML, right? So now, uh, likewise, there are other challenges also. And when we see corporate as a cybersecurity, that how do we see cybersecurity? So we see cybersecurity as a domain, and then we secondly see as cybersecurity as a challenge, right? We have a scope, we have some infrastructure, and then what are the threat against those infrastructure we have? What are the threat against our people? What are the threat against our technology that we are using? And then we try to protect those the people, processes that we have into, and those technology against those cyber threats. Accordingly we put cyber control, accordingly we make cyber policies, and accordingly we make prevention and detective technology. That's how it works into the inside, right? But your question, do we see cybersecurity as those black hat hackers? Do we see cybersecurity as those fascinating the metrics pictures that we saw on the internet? It's not like that, right? So if hackers could be anyone, it could be your, it could be your buddy also, it could be your the employee also, it could be a normal script kiddie also, who do not even know the spelling of the hacking nowadays, right? Because technology is helping everyone, in a bad or a good way, right? So hackers are not necessarily to be underground nowadays. Yes, there are groups who are underground, working underground, but not necessarily that every hacker is like on the black hat and wearing those hoodies and everything. Yeah, so what we see on the picture, that what hackers and cybersecurity is slightly different what we exactly do, right? It's not necessarily that we go hold those malware and then beat them. No, it's not it. Cybersecurity doesn't work in that way. Logical, technically, and with artifacts, it goes hand in hand.
So that's how the cyber security is actually looked like in the corporate world.
Exactly,
Yes, sir.
exactly.
It's
So it's
actually
not it's not it, it's
yeah,
not
go on.
basically those fascinating pictures and all. It has to be rational, it has to be with artifact, it has to be with some root cause, and then you come to the conclusion, right? So it works in that flow, right?
So, sir, that's very great. So, one thing I'm curious to know that you are, you are doing a very good work in cybersecurity domain.
Mhm.
So, I just want to know how did it all started? Like,
Mhm.
did it just started with go with the flow types, or were
Uh,
you really passionate about tech and computers? So, how did it all started? If I talk about your journey.
I'll give you one small example. I was on board, ship, when I was in Navy, and that time we used to work on very, I don't know, Windows XP, I think it was, right? So we receive a new computer in our ship, and that time I was like very afraid, using those computers and this. But I was very curious, fingering the computers, and I was like, my principle was always, you finger, you make it bad, and then try to correct that. That's how I always, work in on the computer. So the very first day, that was very new computer, and I damaged the operating system, right? And I was got scared, and then I reinstalled that, and that was like, the first instance in my life that I did something on my own. And after that, Navy was starting basically those cyber wing, and I was always curious and fascinating about these hackers and everything, how to go. And my Google search history was always into this, how to hack, how to make computer this, how to do this thing, that thing, and all. And that actually keeps me motivated to know and learn about all those things. That time, obviously technology was not so great. And then I got a break into the cyber wing of the Navy, and all of a sudden I was interviewed by the people, right, and they liked my attitude and aptitude both. And I was like bang on the very first day. And then that was my the break, I would say, Yash, that I started into cyber security as my journey. And it was like several years that I worked into cyber wing, and I did not look back. I learned a lot of things, and Navy gives me tremendous, and I would say incredible opportunity to learn and grow. I have served with various government agencies, some of the the which I cannot take even name of, Army, Air Force, and then other government offices. Then I decided to took a break from Navy, although it was great. But I decided to start my second inning in corporate, and that's how, like, it's working. So yeah, it was a passion that landed me into that line and on track, and here I'm going forward.
That's amazing story, sir. Because
Mm,
everyone that with whom I talk about on cybersecurity and basically on podcast, every
mm.
one of them has that one first hack of their own. So if I talk
Right.
about your hack was reinstalling Windows XP. It was
uh
kind of a hack you can call it, because
my hack was something different. I mean, that was one thing which was always you know furious. I mean, which actually motivated me, if I have to say. But yeah, that was one thing which I wanted to quote here.
okay, so if I
Mm,
talk about my first hack, so I was
mm,
in hostel,
mhm.
and I was in class 8, and there used to be two telephones covered with
Mhm.
wooden frames that
Okay.
parents used to call on that number, and we just have to pick that phone, the receiver,
Uh-huh.
and we cannot dial using that telephone because the entire telephone was covered into a wooden cabinet. Okay,
Mhm.
so what I did, I took a tongue cleaner from one of
Uh,
my hostel mate,
uh-huh.
and I just did it like that, and I pressed
Uh-huh.
the buttons. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and the receiver was on my on my ears, and I just
Yes.
observed that the
Mhm.
telephone works on the notes, the tones of
Mhm.
numbers. So the
Mhm.
next time I went home, what I did, I
Uh-huh.
just picked up my telephone on the one hand,
Uh-huh.
and on the
Uh,
second hand, I used
uh,
my mother's phone just to dial
uh-huh.
the number. I'm dialing the
Right.
number on one phone,
Uh,
and the receiver is
uh,
listening to that tone, and the number
uh-huh.
got dialed on
Oh,
the telephone. So
wow.
that was the
Uh,
first hack that that and I was shocked that, oh, okay, something like this can happen. Like telephone
wow.
works on the numbers tone and
Sound.
not on actually, yeah, the sound, and not on the buttons that we press. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
the first step. So many peoples don't
That's
know about,
curious.
yeah, many peoples don't know about that the telephone architecture works on this. This was my
Uh-huh.
first hack, and
Really
then
good
I
to know.
went
Yeah.
on working on computers, and
Mhm.
similarly, and exactly like you, sir, I used to damage the computers. Sometimes I used to corrupt the
Mhm.
softwares, operating systems, and then
Mhm.
brainstorming and reinstalling. So that's how I started in cyber security, and I'm a final year student currently placed and waiting for my joining, and
Amazing, amazing.
yeah,
Right.
and also working on
So,
cyber security podcasts.
no, amazing. I mean, this is the really great work you're doing, Yash. And the example that you give, I think it should be eye opener for a lot of people. And if they do not know, right? Amazing,
So
amazing. So there are a lot of things that and these are very inspirational things for the student, for the younger one. In fact, your college mate also, right? So when they should when they hear about you, that what you are doing, and when they know about that what you did basically in your passion, I think they should get that the motivation from that, right? Hey, he's doing, let's at least start into that domain, right? Because right now I would say in India itself, there is a huge lack of the cybersecurity professional. I don't know why it's lack of awareness, the colleges and school, that they are not motivating their students, or it's like we are going in that very traditional way of engineering, that no, electronics, and the normal, the conventional way of doing engineering, or IIT IM, that's way, right? So people are just not so aware about that cybersecurity could
Yes,
also
sir.
be one of the brightest career that can give you the hefty amount of the paycheck as well. So I mean, but yes, time will come. The government is pushing a lot of initiative to the governments, state governments and colleges and those schools level. In fact, if I would have to say, I have also started that campaign in all the colleges and school, where I generally go and share my knowledge, and give them the demonstration and the awareness about crime and the cyber security, and then they feel thrill that, oh my god, this is how things happen, this is how hacker hacks, and then their eyes are like wide open. But again, they should learn something, or the young blood, basically, they should go and they should also adopt cybersecurity as their mainstream career.
Very true, sir. The major negative thing that I observe about cybersecurity is, if I ask someone from first year or second year, any college student or school student, okay, hey, do you want to learn cybersecurity or ethical hacking? The main agenda, the main objective of learning cybersecurity for other people is so that they can hack their girlfriends or boyfriends
Hack into the curiosity,
Insta account.
right?
Yeah, they just
uh,
want to learn cybersecurity. I get plenty of messages that, hey, my phone is lost. Hey, yeah, but I am suffering from a breakup. Hi, my relationship is sinking, and all. So this is the negative point of cybersecurity, that people are
exactly,
not understanding that the mindset is needed. Okay, so
exactly, man.
the cybersecurity mindset, and if I talk about my campaigns on cybersecurity, I regularly conduct cybersecurity workshops for teachers, parents, and school students, because it is
Amazing.
not only limited to technicalities and
Hmm.
people like you and me who are into technical streams.
Right.
So that's how I am giving back to community, because this community has so given me a lot, and this podcast is one of those way. And thanking you and concluding this episode, it was very lovely talking to you, Lokesh sir. And
Hmm.
yeah, I hope seeing you again on my episode
No
once again,
problem.
because
Mm.
it felt like the more we talk, we are restricted by time, we are limited by time. But I wish to see you again on my podcast, because it was
Sure.
great talking to you. The
Mm.
insights you shared, the knowledge, the value that you added to this episode, sir, it is incredible, and I'm highly thankful to you for this.
No problem, Ash. Yes, thank you so much, inviting, and I really, wish best of luck to you for your future, the whatever initiative that you are currently taking. All the very best, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, sir. You have a
Thank you.
great day.